As a great segue to what Jeffrey was mentioning about the updated UI, over the past year, we have been making incremental changes to the CHT's interface to make it more aligned to material design standards, so it's more similar to other Android experiences, so it's easier for CHWs, VHTs to onboard more quickly if they're more familiar with the different action buttons, with how the screen's laid out. So our final push for this big UI change is the navigation. And this was released recently in 4.12. So you can see here on this screen that the top row is our old navigation. There are tabs, a little menu button at the top, and in the bottom row, we've moved those tabs to the bottom of the screen. They're more ergonomically accessible. There are clearer page titles for the top bar, and the menu is now a full-length side drawer. So yeah, I can do a quick demo of what that looks like now. And yeah, this is what the new UI looks like. The bottom, oh, sorry. I gotta make this a little smaller. So the bottom tabs are here. You can open the menu, see your app settings, this tasks, reports. All the interior pages look the same except for the top bar. You now have the title for what page you're looking on. But yeah, this is what it looks like in desktop. So similar, the menu is going to be on the left side of the screen instead of top tabs, and menu placement is the same. So yeah, just the exciting news that it's live, it's out in the world. Thanks everyone for your hard work on this, and I'm excited to roll this out. For releasing the last push of the UI update, we'll also be removing support for some of the old features. So if you can see, we're not going to be supporting the old action bar. We're not going to be supporting the old filters, just because we've been, with every incremental update, we've released these with feature flags in case projects aren't ready to train users onto it yet, or they're just not ready for the upgrade. But for the new UI, there are some design elements that can't coexist together. So these are the things we'll be dropping, and you can read more detail in the release notes. Thanks.
All right. Any question to Nicole? Nicole, quick one. What are the plans for training users on this new UI?
I think it'll be on a per basis decision, because we don't know how far people are going to upgrade to. If it's an entirely new UI, depending if they're on the super old version of what the CHT is, there might be some in-training person involved, or folks are welcome to use training cards to train on it remotely if they're choosing the incremental steps. So we'll be around. Please reach out on the forum if there's any help needed or support needed for upgrading to the new UI.
All right. Thank you. Any other question from the participants? All right, we can move to the next slide, which is training cards, and calling upon Jennifer to take us through this slide.
Yeah, well, a little bit of history maybe. We released the training cards in May 2023 as a feature to enable remote training within CHT, right? But in the second semester of this year, a project released a remote training for about 10,000 users, which is great to see it working on that scale. And we look at the data, and At that point of time, 9,000 CHW had completed the training, while 800 had seen it but not finished. So after that, we were able to talk to some CHWs about their experience. And for this quarter, we are making some enhancements to the training cards. First is we spot the need of improving the documentation. So now we have a best practices section about the training content. Also, cards with long content now have a scroll while keeping the buttons always visible for easier navigation. And however, we still recommend keeping the content to a minimum and having as few cards as possible for better training results. Also, we improved the confirmation message before quitting the training when navigating to another page. The training cards will display once a day rather than with every page reload. This is to minimize interruptions in CHW's activities. We will also provide a SQL query to monitor metrics ready to use. Metrics like training, like for example, how many users view a specific training but didn't complete it, or how many users completed the training. Yeah, so look forward for that. We also are improving the automation testing, which verify the stability of the feature in CHT. And we are also in the process of story mapping to design a solution to enable CHWs to revisit training materials. And that's about it. Over to you, Anthony.
Right. Thanks, Jennifer. There is a question here from Brian. Would you like to voice your question?
Yeah, I am one of those people who is excited about the training cards feature. Our guild program currently has users using 3 different languages. So we have English, French, and Swahili. And I just wanted to confirm if the training cards feature defaults to an admin language setting or whatever the community health worker has selected for their device.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to make the training cards, you will use Enquito forms. Same is like the same configurations as any report form. So yes, the training cards will be able to display according to a language.
Okay, thanks. And do we have a specific time daily where the training cards will be displayed? I think in some of the projects, the CHW would prefer specific time where they work. So is that configurable?
At the moment, it's only like the date to start the training, but not the time. The time is just when they can, when they open the app and ready to start working. So when we display the training card, but it's something that we can consider.
Yeah, my name is Philip Mwago. I am a technical product owner within the ecosystem focus working group. Today I'll be talking about how we made our dashboards reliable. So where we are coming from is Couch to PG, where standalone Couch to PG, where we will thanks, Mariachana. Yeah, we're coming from Couch to PG, where we have CHT Sync being a direct replacement of Couch to PG. So as Thomas mentioned, the tool, the goal for the tool is ideally to have the data being copied over, the data being viewed on the dashboards in real time. So what we did, how we achieved this is through enhancing Couch to PG, as you can see on the diagram on the right. So we added Couch to PG and removed a couple of technologies that we initially had. So Couch to PG ideally just streams for changes on Couch CouchDB database. So this data is not very queryable. So it's copied over to Postgres in a single column, which is also which you can't really query. So we use dbt to change this into a queryable format. That's a relational database. So from there, you are able to, as you can see, the arrow from DBT to Postgres is bidirectional. So the data is actually sent back, and you can use a data visualization tool such as Metabase or Superset to just visualize your data. So as the changes come in on CouchDB, say a number of community health workers have actually synced the data, you're able to see this. So it means that it's more reliable, and it's you can actually make better decisions. So for example, if you did activity dash, you have an activity widget that checks what's going on, say, within the last period of 24 hours. It's a very easy check to see on how the different implementation, because ideally it will have the CHT sync dashboard will have more data as opposed to Couch2PG. So that's the reason we are recommending utilization of CHT sync. So this has been proven in production. We had a big project that we worked on, and we documented the learnings on this and what is required to deploy CHT sync. And also, we've also deprecated the standalone Couch2PG. So that's mostly it. I think Tom has shared a link on where you can get these resources. So the QR will just basically take you to our doc site where we have most of these resources. The ones that stand out, probably the one to stand out would be in terms of if you're starting from if you already have data on your instance or on your project, we have a migration path for that. That's from the standalone Couch2PG to CHT sync, and then as I mentioned, there is a modeling of data there based on DBT as to make it queryable. So we have resources on that, and also production setup on the same. So that's some of the links that we have. There are some of the resources that we've provided, and there are more in there, including testing and a couple of more resources in there. So that's it. I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Hi all, I'm Ashley Jones. I'm a technical product owner, and I'm based here in the United States. Maybe I'll be seeing some of the guild folks that are over here. Next slide, please. I'm going to cover the two most recent releases, starting with 4.11. 4.11 includes these three highlights: the People API pagination, optional duplicate check for phone numbers, and summary has more target docs. So I'll dive into each of those some more here. So the API for fetching people has been extended to allow to get a whole swath of people by number of pages. So prior, you would get them all. With the new API, you can specify chunks of folks that you want to get. So if you wanted to use an integration where you're fetching groups of people and you want to be able to paginate through at 3 of them or 5 of them at a time, the new API allows you to easily do that. And as a reminder, we strongly encourage everyone to use the CHT Core API when accessing data. This enables forward compatibility as we change things underneath. This is as opposed to talking directly to CouchDB, where you can get the same data, but things may change, and then you won't be able to use the API you were using before. Also in 4.11 is the ability to optionally change the way that phone numbers are entered in. So currently, before 4.11, if you wanted to validate the format, so here's a North American phone number format, and if you wanted to validate that someone was entering the phone number, you had to use type of telephone. But what this also forced was a check for duplicate phone numbers. There are some workflows where you may actually want to enforce the validation of a valid phone number, but not enforce the duplicate checking. So in 4.11, we give you the option to split those off and to use a different type and different appearance, allowing for valid phone number inputs, but again, without the duplicate checking. There was a national deployment that was using the summary information on the contact to track stock monitoring. And what they found was that there was insufficient data being shown in the summary. So it was requested that this get extended into farther back. So I believe now we include 3 months worth of data in the context summary. And this allowed, for example, the stock monitoring data to be reflected there so that it was useful for the deployment. It was great to see some of the Guild Digital upgrade information, which talked about features coming from other national deployments, specifically things like AppDex, and there was another feature there. But all these features are targeted towards one use case, but always deployed and accessible for everyone for the benefit of the open source good. So great to see that other folks are taking advantage of that. All right, on to 4.12. The big announcements in 4.12, Nicole already covered for the new navigation and as well deprecating some of the navigation flags. So I'm not going to cover that, but I will cover an update to the monitoring API, which includes some storage information. So in 4.12, there's additional information added to the monitoring API about the storage use of the CHT. So here you see a screenshot of CHT Watchdog, which is the de facto way to monitor your CHT core instance. So Watchdog allows for alerts and monitoring and tracking over longitudinal periods to see changes. And by tracking storage, we can better account for changes over time that take up the disk space. So Allies is especially interested in this because we've been focusing on trying to reduce the hosting total cost of ownership, TCO, and we strongly feel that storage comes into play here for increasing the cost of ownership. So by adding the monitoring, now we'll get a better picture of what the storage usage looks like over time. So I've mentioned a couple highlights for each of the releases, but I wanted to point out that there's so much more going on for each release, such that there's more bug fixes and technical improvements and performance gains. So really always thinking about upgrading and get it to be part of the regular cadence that happens as soon as the release is out. We announce the releases on the forums, we announce betas if you want to try it, and we welcome feedback for anyone who has questions or concerns about them. Okay.
All right. It seems there's no question. So I've seen Felix from Combacal. Would you like to introduce yourself? We are hoping in future we can give you an opportunity also to present what's happening in Lesotho. So Felix, please.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm currently based in Switzerland, but have been working in Lesotho before and still involved in the projects there, so now remotely. Yes, we are using CHT in a project on the community-based care delivery for diabetes and hypertension. Myself, I'm a clinician, not the technical person, so I'm not always following all the details of the upgrades. But yeah, great for us to see. We also had some struggles when upgrading to version 4. We discussed that once with Anthony. And yeah, we have 2 different projects running. One of them we use as a pilot, one as our main project, and currently still figuring out how to synchronize them and always keep them up to date and so on. So yeah, very good to be part of the roundup calls and hear the newest information.